You're listening to the Show We Go Baseball podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into episode 22 of To the Show We Go, featuring Ed Hand and myself, Andrew Parker. Today's episode, we have our second member of the Worcester Red Sox, aka the Woo Dogs, is what I've heard our guest today say numerous times in the locker room. Chase Shugart. Now, Chase, how's the offseason been treating you?
It's been a bunch of off-season activities, a lot of weddings, bachelor parties, getting ready for deer season and duck season. It's been a good getaway so far.
And we were kind of talking a little bit off air. I mean, obviously you've been hanging out with Brendan Nail and a few other guys. Is there a lot of guys surrounding you down there in Texas from the system that you see?
In Texas, no, not really. They're more Dallas area. We got David's in Houston. I know Hamilton, he's in Houston. I know that Wong is working out in Houston, or he might be. He usually is. And there's a lot of Texas guys in the Red Sox organization now that I think about it, but none that I can think of other than those two.
And I also wanted to dive in. I was going to say this at the beginning, but I kind of wanted to tell my Chase Shugart introduction story. I don't know if you noticed this, but it was on Media Day at Polar Park this past year. I think it was late March. You guys had all just gotten there from spring training, and Media Day, all the media people were huddled in a circle in the middle of the locker room. And we were like freaking sheep in there, man. We were just all the guys are around the room just staring at us. And it was my first time I'd ever been in a professional locker room before. I have been in a college locker room and done that. But I've never been in a professional locker room before. And I was deer in headlights, I think. And I was kind of like, I have no idea what I'm doing in here. I don't know why I'm here. But the first guy I went to was Mr. Shug himself, because I had asked you a few questions via DM for a story I wrote over the off season. And I think I went back and listened to that recording, and it was like a nervous wreck, man. I don't know how you talked to me. I don't know if it even made sense, but thank you for dealing with that and getting my confidence up to go through a whole season and do that. So I appreciate you a lot for that. No
problem. You're easy to talk to, especially, you got a lot of people coming in there, especially on Media Day, a lot of people that aren't there every day like you guys, and, Ed pops in every now and then. But, y'all made it a good time this year, and y'all didn't feel like we said off air, like you didn't ask questions that were disrespectful or too personal or nothing like that. So I think y'all did a really good job this year.
I appreciate it also, because you mentioned that I was kind of popping in and out. I wasn't there every day like Parker, but you were always just real, like, even though we were never formally introduced or anything, you were always very friendly. Like, you'd come by, give people fist bumps and all that. Like, I know it probably doesn't seem like a big gesture for you, but that it really put me at ease. Just that, like, if I needed to ask a question or something like that, it wasn't going to be that big of a deal. Like that sort of thing does go a long way.
Yeah, and like I said, y'all did a really good job, and I'm glad I made y'all feel comfortable enough to come up and talk to me about whatever.
Absolutely. And you kind of mentioned it too, is, there was the Texas, the Longhorn guys, you and Hamilton. And I feel like David's a more he's a more quiet guy, goes about his business. He's a great baseball player. But he's more of I'm going to keep it low key. And then you got Shug next to you that's going to chat with everybody and everything. I always felt bad going over to your locker sometimes. It's like, I don't know if David wants me right here, but whatever.
David will, he definitely doesn't speak unless spoken to. That's for sure.
Yeah. Very nice guy though. Very nice guy.
He's awesome. He's one of my favorites.
I feel like he's like he had the layers on at the beginning of the year, and then he was kind of like AJ Politi to me as well. Whereas like AJ was a little soft spoken, quiet guy, but then once you get to know him, like AJ is he's ruthless on the ping pong table. But we'll get into that later.
He thinks he's somebody on the ping pong table.
Oh yeah,
He thinks he's somebody he's not.
I'm gonna get into that a little later. We're gonna dive into that, but I wanted to start off. So if you had to describe your 2023 year, what kind of things would come to mind? Like, how would you describe that it went for you?
I would say adversity is like the word that would probably stick out to me. Like at the first couple months, I felt like I was in a very good spot. I was throwing well. And then I ran into some trouble where I wasn't minimizing damage and I wasn't letting my pitches work the way they work. And then I wasn't executing my strengths against the hitter's weaknesses. I mean, that's a way for me to put it. And then once that I was struggling, I struggled with a lot of my confidence. It was like, okay, well, I threw that over the middle of the plate. That's going to get hit if I do that, if I make a mistake here. And I didn't have conviction in my pitches the way I should have. And I feel like that was something I battled with the rest of the year from June till the last day.
And I talked to you about this over the season a little bit, and but I guess for the people out there, you had an injury and you had gone onto the IL for a bit, but can you kind of talk about what it was like, I guess, leading into landing on the IL and then coming back afterward?
I think I had an IL stint in 2019 when I was in Greenville towards the end of the year, but nothing ever mid-season or missing time for me to, like a rhythm is a big thing as a reliever, and getting out of my rhythm to go on the IL, get back in shape it was like I was struggling with core strength, which led to my oblique flaring up, and I wasn't getting the rotation I needed while I was pitching. So that's just a way to put it. And, Dylan, I think I was on there for 18 days, 19 days, or it was 19 days in between times I pitched, but it was like, it's definitely a mental blow because you're like, all right, I put all this work in the off season leading into the season, and then it's full go now. Now you got to take a step back and get yourself back into throwing shape, back into a weight room routine that works for you. You got to be in the training room doing your exercises with the strength coaches, and then also our training staff, who were, by the way, first class all the way through. And there was a sense of comfort knowing the guys that we had in the locker room and the training room that like it'll get taken care of. But it was just a mental blow to get back into that and be like, dang, like I'm missing this time when I could be pitching and doing well, doing bad, either way, like I need to be throwing. And but then I talked with Abby whenever the first day I went on it, or I think he got back because he went up for the big leagues as a bullpen coach for a week. But when he got back, he's like, use it as a reset, like reset your mind, like get where you need to be. And so looking at it like that, it was easier on the mentality, but it was also like, all right, this is a grind.
Yeah, and it did seem like you were grinding it out a bit at the end of the season there. Were there any major takeaways that you had that you're looking forward to taking into 2024?
Yeah, I started throwing a sweeper this year, and I feel like that is one of my best numbers wise, it's one of my best off-speed pitches. And then starting throwing that in the middle of the year this year, and then trying to get the confidence, like it goes back to me not having confidence in what I was throwing and not the conviction. But then throwing that, and I'm really focused on honing that in and being able to throw that any count, any situation, knowing that I'm going to execute this pitch. And then also fastball control, like being able to hit a little piece of a mitt. Like I got to be looking at a smaller target, and executing pitches is probably the moral of the story there, but that's what I'm honed in on. And then also on the dealing with an injury would also be like a serious routine of strength and conditioning.
And so I know this answer just because I was around you a lot this year, and I think Ed does too. But how would you describe what the overall? I feel like it was like a tale of two halves in the locker room there in Worcester. How it was very veteran heavy. Like you had a lot of guys like Alfaro and Greg Allen, Jake Faria, Nico Goodrum, like a lot of guys that had played in the MLB. They had a lot of experience. And then when they left, there was some youth that came up like Rafael and a few other guys. How would you describe, I guess, like, when you saw it changing, like how did the locker room stay all year long? Like, did it stay, I guess, just how it was and you guys picked it up, or how would you describe it?
I would say the first half, like those guys, Alfaro, Goodrum, Faria, Palka, like all those guys pretty much set the tone for the year, like of what kind of clubhouse we're going to run. Like, well, I mean, we had a team meeting and it was just the players. Like, I would say like a month or two in, we're like, hey, this is the do's and the don'ts. Like, we're here to have a good time. We're here to have fun. We're here to play ball. We're here to win. Like, if we're going to have fun, we might as well be winning. And I would say Nico Goodrum was probably the leader of the clubhouse. And, like he was the same guy every day, no matter what happened. You could go 0 for 4 the night before, you go 4 for 4. Like, you would never know. And that was cool to see, like the way he like just kind of went about his business daily. And then Alfaro is one of the nicest guys I've ever been around. And, that he's always happy. He's always got a smile on his face. And I got really close with Faria as well. But the second half, like some of those guys left, they opted out, and then things happened. But we get Rafaela, we get Abreu has his monster second half, and then we got like all these younger guys stepping up, and like that was our offense. We're like, okay, like let's do this. We're on a hot streak. We're winning. Let's roll. So I would say the veteran guys set the tone, and then we just kind of kept it and made it into our own the second half.
Now, you mentioned Paul Abbott a little bit earlier, who was the pitching coach last year. He was since been let go from the organization, but what was he like as a coach, and what are you hoping to see from whoever is going to be taking his role over?
Paul was very old school, and he was like he very opinionated too, and like I respect that as somebody, because like he's going to tell you how it is no matter what. Like he's not going to beat around the bush. He's not going to baby you through a process. He's like, hey, you're either going to do it or you're not. This is how you can do it in the best way. This is how you do it in the worst way. Here's how you are when you're bad. Here's how you are when you're good. You need to find it. And I've had a lot of conversation with Paul over my year and a half of Worcester, and like I'm going to miss Paul. Like, he was extremely nice guy. I mean, even off the baseball field, he helped me through a lot this year, battling the mentality side of it. But business is business. Like, I'm not gonna make those calls on who comes in and coaches, who doesn't. But looking into going into 24, like just somebody that gets it. Like somebody's been there, done that. Like, who has a like knowledge of the analytics side of it, but also has like a little old school savvy about it. Like, I've grew up on old school baseball, and I've never been one for numbers or one for like, oh, how'd that pitch move? Like, how's this working and where? It's just more like go out there and throw your best. But I would like to see somebody they bring in. Like, I'm sure they're gonna bring in somebody that's well overqualified, and they're gonna have a knowledge of the analytics side and a knowledge of the old school side. So I'm excited.
Who did you grow up? What were you, Rangers fan, Astros fan?
Astros fan. I grew up on the 3 Bs: Biggio, Bertman, and Bagwell.
Yeah, the bees before the Red Sox had their killer bees. Those were the original killer bees.
Yep. But pitching,
let's not forget about Brad Osmus. Come on.
Yeah, we like Brad Osmus was a good. I like that. Yeah, but pitching wise, it was. I mean, Roger Clemens on the back end of his career when he was here.
He was nasty there.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then Roy Oswalt, Brad Lidge, those guys are just old school, go right at you, here it is type guys.
Yeah, that's definitely when I hear somebody say like an old school pitcher. I think it's both Texans. It's Roger Clemens and it's Nolan Ryan. Those are the first two people that come to mind for me.
Yeah, Nolan Ryan. Yeah, I watched facing Nolan for the first time. I think it was sometime this season, and I was like, wow, this guy really just didn't care. Like, he was up there, and if he didn't like you, you were gonna know, and if he did like you, you wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah, I watched that earlier this year as well, and I'm a little upset that I was not old enough to live through the Nolan and actually like enjoy it and
understand what's going on.
Yeah, a little before our time, but it's just like, dang, like I wish I could have seen him, like even like Roger Clemens too. It's just like I kind of wish that him in his prime was like when I was 20 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like that I could really enjoy it. But I do want to talk about one of your other coaches who I cannot talk highly enough about, which is Chad Tracy. You got to play for him now for a year and a half, 2 different seasons. How has it been playing for him? And he got awarded by Baseball America the top managing prospect in the entire league. So he's starting to get notice on the higher up level here on around the majors. So what was it like, I guess, playing for him?
And he deserved every bit of recognition he gets. Trace is first class. He's a player's first coach. But also, if you're not getting your work in, you're not doing what needs to be done, he's going to let you know about it. But, like this year was probably the most fun I've had in professional baseball. And, like, just as a team, as a group, the coaches, like Getty and Mont and then Tracy, Wills, Abby, like those guys being there, BC. But like as a team, we had fun. Like no matter what we were doing, no matter where we were at, we could have lost 4 in a row, and nobody would ever know because like, hey, we start today, we get to start a streak today. But Trace, he will be a big league manager if you ask me. Like I think that's going to be a guy that will probably do it for a long time as well.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt that his dad is also was one of the an MLB manager for a while, and I even bumped into him. It was like I can't remember what I was doing, but it was like a post game, and we went in there, and his dad was just sitting like facing away. He was over in I forgot where he was. He was kind of by like where the bathroom was. He was like faced the other way. I didn't know who it was, and I thought it was Dr. Charles or somebody. I had no idea. I just was like, all right, Trace, I just got to ask you a question. And then he turns around. I'm like, holy cow, like that's Jim Tracy right there.
Yeah. I had no idea that was his dad until he came to Polar Park this year. I was like, oh, all right. I mean, that makes sense now. I had no idea.
That's better than me. I thought he was a different Chad Tracy. I thought he was the one that played for the Arizona Diamondbacks when I was going to school out there. So I had I think it was my first. It was in May. It was like my first time I was actually there early enough to talk beforehand. And I was like, "Hey man, I really loved watching you play when I was in school with the Diamondbacks." And he was like, "Yeah, that wasn't me." And which I guess at this point he gets it a lot, but he was like he always such a class act, always there, gives us way more time than we really need, and he's a good guy.
He's first class.
All right, so I've talked about this with the few pitchers in the system so far, and we've had quite a few. I feel like we've had. Out of all the pitchers we've had on here from the system so far in these 22 episodes, a handful of them have been lefties. You shared a bullpen with like 7 lefties this year. Was that weird for you? Have you ever done that before?
I've never been in a locker room with that many lefties. I don't think, no. I mean, because even with the bullpen, we had 7, and then we had Dro, Walter, Murphy, like starter, like Dermody at the beginning of the year. We had starter lefties. Like we had 13 lefties throughout the year. It was different. And I was like, hey, I'm not throwing with any of you guys, by the way. And then Politi got there. I was like, thank God. Like I got somebody I can throw with now. But
yeah, you guys were like specialists, but the reverse specialists.
Yeah, we were like, all right, well, there's a righty.
So this is a little bit of a different thing, but you were part of the first no-hitter in Worcester Red Sox history, the one started by Michael Wacha, and I believe AJ Politi was the other guy finishing that up. But it's a couple of questions about that. One, how did Michael Wacha take that? Because it was part of a no-hitter, but he was also on a rehab assignment. So was he like amped up about it, or was it just another day in the office for him?
He was the first guy I saw when I walked into the locker room. He was there waiting to dap everybody up. Like he was excited. He was bought in. Like that was his outing. Like he took it as he was pitching in the big leagues. Like he went out there and he shut down an offense that put up, I think it was like 16 the night before. I think we lost 16-1, 16-0 the night before. And he goes, we go out there and no hit him. And that was just because we asked her, like, dude, like, what's the difference? He's like, I do this very well and I'm going to do that. And then, but him For the no hitter, he was the first guy I saw afterwards. Gave him a nut, gave a hug. I was like, "Hey, you want the ball?" And then before I know it, the front office people was like, "Hey, can we get that ball? We're gonna put it up. It was a Wall of Fame, the whole nine." But yeah, he was. I would say he was amped up.
I mean, that's got to be such a cool thing to be a part of. Did you know it was a no hitter when you went into the game?
Yes, I think I figured it out. I think Politi went 2 innings, and on Politi's second inning, I think it was the 7th. Yeah, I looked up and I was like, "Oh, that's a no hitter." And then Politi gets through that inning, phone rings, is like, "Hey, Shug, you're in the game." I was like, "Oh, awesome. Let's let's go ahead and let's save this."
I mean, that's
How
got to
much?
be the situation that you're. Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to ask him. How much did Granberg charge you for saving the no hitter?
Not enough. But it's funny. Granberg, it couldn't have happened to a better dude to make that play either. Granberg's like I said about Tracy, Granberg's first class, and he came up to me. He's like, "You're nasty." I was like, "No, Granberg, you're nasty." So it was a cool moment between me and him.
I have a random question here. Unless Ed, you have something.
Oh no, I was going to say that was exactly what I was going to ask about. So.
Oh yeah, I met Granberg this year when he came back and retired, and guy was
his
awesome.
Retirement party. Yeah,
super nice, man. It's I had never met him before, and he was talking to me like me and him had like known each other for a while. I'm like, "Are you like this with everybody, or like what's going on? Do you think I'm somebody else?" I have no idea.
with everybody.
Okay, I was assuming so, but I was just like, I don't know if he thinks I'm like somebody else that was here last year and it wasn't me, but it's all good. I got some random ones for you. Non-baseball related here before we get back into baseball later, but I want to know, how was living with Nick Shugart?
It was awesome. Me and Nick got, I would say last year when we got called up in 22. Yeah, in 22 we got called up, and we were like the kind of the 2 Portland guys to get up there, and we kind of just clung at the hip. Then we were road roommates, but we didn't live together. And when we get back to Worcester, and then going into spring training this year, we're like, "Hey, if we're both going there, like we're living together." And it was cool to go home, and then he would talk about his ABs and what he was thinking, how he was doing that, and then if I threw that night, he's like, "Why'd you throw this here when you could have thrown this?" Or he's like, "I wouldn't have changed the thing that you done tonight. Like you were nasty." And it was a good relationship that we built away from the field. And then I think it was every Sunday or Monday we had steak night. I'd cook steaks, and he'd make mac and cheese, and then we would just eat like kings. But it was,
oh man,
it was a
Did
good
you
year.
guys grill a lot? Because I heard that Caleb Ort was a real grill master.
We didn't use the grill at our apartment. I just sear the steaks and put them in the oven.
Oh, gotcha. So it wasn't like you were going out with like a barbecue grill or something.
No. But I don't put it past the Ort to be a grill master.
Oh, he's not like Steven Scott and Joe Davis out there that are absolutely whipping up feasts. But
yeah,
I just learned that when we had Nail on, he said that he was always invited to eat with them, and it was
in 21. Yeah, I went over there in 21 one time with Nail, and I think it was Christian Koss, Murphy, Scott, and Davis, and they threw down, and then we played Mario Kart for 3 hours.
That just sounded like the best Sunday imaginable.
It was a good day.
Who is the best at Mario Kart of that group?
Me.
Who's your driver? Who's your driver though?
I use Shy Guy. He's not a real Mario brother or whatever you want to call it. Shy Guy's a new guy, but Shy Guy's the way to go. I like throwing bombs at people. Second best, I would go with Christian Koss. He brings his little Nintendo 64 everywhere we go. We got the old Nintendo remotes play Mario Party.
So when you say you're playing Mario Kart, you mean like Mario Kart 64, like
on the old school. And we had the game little box cube.
Oh,
put the little disc in. It was
so
good
like that.
I actually know about those games. Like usually people are talking about like PlayStation 5, and I'm like, what's an Overwatch? But like that I know about.
Yeah, that was especially on bus rides when we get a sleeper bus, we took it up to the TV on the sleeper bus, and we would have 4 people play, and then the loser had to give up the stick. So it'd be basically just had to come in third, second, or first to stay on the sticks.
So basically, these bus rides were like every birthday party I had in like junior high school.
Probably so. Probably
That
so.
is, that's one of those. So something that I feel like when we have these conversations with you guys is a little bit of vicarious living. Like you're playing pro baseball. Like I think that anybody who grew up playing baseball wanted to play pro baseball,
Right.
and you're telling me that these bus rides are just like a giant party with like your best friends. Like this is. I'm so happy you get to experience that.
Yeah. It's like showing up to McDonald's and them having the old Nintendo games around in the play place. Those were when boys became men right there.
I actually used to say I grew up in a Modern Warfare 2 COD lobby back in the day, but that's also where I grew up. So
me too.
That's I think when I hit puberty, I guess, was when I was in a Modern Warfare 2 lobby. That's where I guess I matured because I heard some things. But
yeah,
all right. Yeah, exactly. We're tough because of what we went through in like 2008 or whenever the hell that was. All right. My next question here, you were kind of mentioning costs a little bit, so he might be in this equation. You're a big golf guy. I want to know. So Brendan said that you guys had a foursome that would always go golfing anytime you guys had the chance. And then on road trips, people would always be trying to get in. Who was the worst golfer in your crew, I guess, there in Worcester this year?
Me.
Really?
Dude, for how much I play golf, you would think I get in my own way when it comes to golf, but I would have my days. I beat Rio a couple times, Gomez. Like I got some wins under my belt. I didn't come in dead last, but I probably played the worst throughout the whole year.
I expected better for a Texas guy.
Yeah. Well, I started golfing in 2018 when I got drafted. So I was 5, 4, 7. I don't know math. 5 years ago when I started golfing, and I've never changed anything. I'm trying to hit it as hard and far as I can, and it goes left. I'm left-handed, so my slice plays pretty bad for a lot of courses.
Growing up, were you just like a baseball, or did you play football, basketball, anything like that?
I played like little dribblers basketball till I was like 8 or 9, and then I've always played football and baseball until my senior year of high school. And
What did you play? What position were you for football?
I played free safety and quarterback.
Makes sense with the arm. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. If you would have asked me in 7th or 8th grade, I was going to go play in the NFL, but nobody wants a 5'10", 175 quarterback or DB. So
I don't know. Drew Brees. Isn't that what Drew Brees' whole career was around?
Yeah, but I think Drew Brees is a little bit better than I thought I was.
Yeah, Drew Brees may have been 5'9", but he could throw a football like over 100 yards. It was insane, man. Guy had a cannon. I wanted to ask you something. I never asked you this during the season, and it may be out there on the reasoning, and I just have never seen it or anything about it. So I'm just going to ask you. This past year, you were wearing glasses while on the mound, and yes. I was kind of looking through photos. You haven't worn those before this past year, correct?
I wore glasses in college, sophomore and junior year, and then my eyesight never got worse. So I was like, all right, I don't need them. It was only when I was playing, and then this year we did eye tests during spring training, and my eyesight gets pretty blurry at night, and I was like, all right, I might need to get checked out. I might have something wrong. And then I have like astigmatism, and I'm either nearsighted, farsighted, I don't know. And they're like, well, can you see the signs? I was like, I mean, kind of, but I don't need to see the signs because we got pitch comm. And they're like, all right, they're like, well, do you want to see a ball coming back at you? I was like, yeah, I would very much enjoy that. He's like, all right, well, we're going to give you a contact for your left eye. I was like, one contact? And he's like, yeah. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Let's just go glasses and just give me a prescription. So I brought back the glasses this year.
I was gonna say I didn't know if it was something like a Jameis Winston thing where he was like squinting all the time, and then they were like, "Hey, man, you need contacts. Like you're always squinting, you can't see the receivers open." And then he went to New Orleans and did that, and he was just like a different man.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was something like that, or because I think I looked at your Instagram page, and I think Christian Koss was like, "Hey, you can finally see like what they're putting down or something."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I didn't know what the story was behind that. Like, if you couldn't see until this year, like I had no idea.
No, I could see. It's just like night. I was the one squinting, like Jameis, and I was all right. Maybe that's a curveball. Maybe that's a fastball. We're gonna figure it out.
Does the pitch comp must make that a lot easier though?
It does, but the pitch com's a pain. If I'm being honest, it's because you're sitting there, the catcher's pressing buttons. It's like, no, I don't want that one. No, I don't want that one. And throwing 4 pitches, you got what, 15 seconds to 14 seconds to get it off. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm at 3 seconds. He called 3 pitches. I'm gonna throw the fourth one, hoping that he guesses right. And then sometimes it wouldn't work, so we'd have to step off, break rhythm. Like, hey, it's not working. He'd walk out. He'd press the button. It would work. We're like, all right, whatever. Get on. Let's go.
And then you go back out there and you throw one more pitch and then it breaks again.
Yeah, and then he's like pressing the button. I'm like, it's not working.
I can see Steven Scott back there being like, "Come on, dude! Like you can maybe come back."
Yeah.
All right. So I had a couple other one-offs here, and I'm going to ask the question, Ed, the question that I'm asking.
The most important question you're going to hear for the rest of the month.
Just because I think Shug's going to have a good answer, a thoughtful answer on this, but I
don't think we've had. Yeah, I think we. Oh, sorry.
He's going to have Hunter Dobbins' answer, by the way. Him and Hunter Dobbins are from the same area.
You're just assuming that because they both because they're both from Texas. That might not be true.
All right, they grew up around each other. All right, whatever. All right, so I need to know. I've asked every single person in every episode this question. What is your go-to fast food fried chicken place?
Fried chicken place? Raising Cane's.
Not Chicken Express.
I ate Chicken Express yesterday because it's closer to my house. I didn't feel like driving 15 minutes to Raising Cane's, but number one is Raising Cane's, and then it's Chicken Express.
All right, I have a quote from Hunter Dobbins. He said their sweet tea could put a non-diabetic in a diabetic coma.
Yes. It's the best sweet tea I've ever had.
That's like a thing.
Can somebody put that on a shirt with like a picture of the iced tea? I feel like that would be a bestseller. Yeah,
it's Red Diamond iced tea. It's the best. It's the sweetest.
Okay.
If you want sweet tea and you want really good sweet tea, that's where you go.
You know, I was expecting a different answer than Cane's, just because you're a Texas guy. There's plenty of Zaxby's down there, man. There's a far superior chicken place in your state.
Zaxby's? I haven't seen Zaxby's in Texas. If you go to like Georgia, the first Zaxby's I've ever seen was in Georgia, in Somerville when I was in high school.
Yeah, you don't step foot in College Station, so.
Well, if I'm going to College Station, I'm getting Fuego, the taco place.
Okay. Well, there is a Zaxby's in College Station because it's in they make a claim they're in every SEC town. So I guess they might be in Austin, next year. I don't know.
Yeah, well, they got Raising Cane's in Austin too.
Okay. Hey, listen, I'm a big Cane's guy. I like it. It's just Zaxby's is the far superior, and I had to know.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Chicken Express just because I think it's like a Texas thing. So
I thought it was a Whataburger In-N-Out question coming up.
You're close.
Well, yeah, well, that's pretty obvious. You're a Texas guy. Like, it's not In-N-Out.
You know what the best Texas thing, though, is? For me, at least, is Buc-ee's. I love Buc-ee's.
Yes. Yeah.
I have like I can hang on a sec. I can actually show you. I got this from, I went to San Antonio for a bachelor party last year. I got this from, we just moved, so we still have all this stuff from where we were before. Yeah, that's Buc-ee. He's on everything.
Yeah. It's like a supermarket too. It's massive.
Yeah, they've got those like the nuggets that taste kind of like kettle corn. That stuff's amazing.
Yep.
You need to talking about the gas station that's got like 100 pumps on it?
Yeah, but they got it's more than just a gas station, dude. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah, no, you need to experience a Buc-ee's to understand a Buc-ee's.
Cleanest bathrooms ever too.
Right? Right. Okay, so that's not just like the one that I went to. That's just like a thing for them.
They pride themselves on how clean their restrooms are, as like
Man,
a truck stop or whatever they want to call themselves.
I mean, that's a good thing to pride yourself on when you think about it.
Yeah,
Like that's
like
what I'm going to brag about too. For if I'm a rest stop.
if you got to use a
Oh,
public restroom, you'd rather it be clean.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've driven around the states to know, and I'm sure you've gotten to do this too, like on bus trips and stuff. Like there are some pretty disgusting bathrooms out there.
They're bad, especially when it's just one bathroom and there's 15 guys waiting just to go into this one bathroom. You're like, all right.
All right. I wrote down, by the way, that you described Buc-ee's as it's not just a gas station, it's a lifestyle.
You can quote me on that, yeah.
I like that. That's good, man.
Do you think that if we just say that at the beginning of every episode, if we say brought to you by Buc-ee's, it's not a gas station, it's a lifestyle, they'll eventually start to pay us royalties?
Maybe.
I'm trying to get the Zaxby's first, and then Chicken Express did repost my TikTok that I posted with $100.
Let's go.
So
Really?
I think we're in with Chicken Express right now, but
you're well on your way.
Yeah. All right.
I have a baseball question for you real quick.
All right, let's hear it.
So that we can go back to that. You were talking about Nick Sogard. Now, I think Nick Sogard is the most underrated defensive player and maybe just overall player in the entire Red Sox system. I think he is much better than people give him credit for. He reminds me so much of his cousin, Eric Sogard, who had a pretty good career. Who else would you say on your team is underrated, is just really good, but not enough people are talking about them?
I feel like everybody talks about Fitzy, but like Fitzy is underrated in my opinion. Like Fitzy is an all-around gamer. Like you can tell he plays with a lot of passion. He cares. He's in there day in, day out doing his thing, and he believes in what he's doing. And I feel like it's going to pay off for him in the long run. But he's underrated. And then, we had a bunch of. That's why we said the Woo Dogs this year. We had a bunch of just dogs in the clubhouse. Like it was not big name guys. Like we had our prospects, but we had some dogs in the clubhouse. So we were the Woo Dogs. But position player wise,
you know what I really like about Fitzy this year?
What's that?
I like that he came in and learned an entirely new skill. He was going to the opposite field a lot more this year. He was bunting for hits every now and then. Do you find that you try to learn something new before every season? Like there's just something that this is going to be my new thing this year?
No, I try to take everything that I have and go into it. It's like, all right, I need to sharpen this up. Like all these need to be working in unison as equally as deadly as the next. Whereas like a guy like Fitzy, everybody knows he's trying to hit one over right field every single swing. He take like with the shift because there's not much of a shift this year, but like the third baseman would shade, the shortstop would be basically behind second base, and if he saw that if they're going to give me that's a hit, my average is going up. Like it can move a runner over. Like I'm going to take advantage of what they give me. So that's just him. His baseball knowledge taking over. I don't think he was in the off season like, I'm just going to start bunting right here. But
so it wasn't planned out so much as like he just kind of figured it out.
Yeah, it was more like, all right, if they're going to do this, I'm going to do this. So that because even when they had to start playing the bunt, and that opens up more gaps on the left side. If he is late and catches one that goes that way, hits it hard, there's nobody there.
I have 2 baseball related questions left, Ed. I don't know what you have left in the tank here.
Let me look. I have a baseball question and a pseudo baseball question because it's a trivia question.
Okay.
All right, go first on your baseball question.
Okay, so my baseball question for you is Emmanuel Valdez. His he really made a nice impression with his bat in the majors this season. But the defense it wasn't as good. Did you see him making strides defensively, and what do you think he's capable of if he's given a full-time job there?
That's another gamer. Like I wanted to say that he was underrated, but he got his chance. He did his thing, so like everybody's showing him, like talking about him now. But he has the chance. Like he has the opportunity if he, buys into the defensive side of it to be I mean, how was he, 24, 25, a 10-year big leaguer guy, if not longer. Like his stick will play no matter what. It's just like tuning up his defense to where like he can be an everyday second baseman. That'll be his biggest step. But I could see him, if he buys in on it, he could be a long-time big leaguer for sure.
I remember the first game I went to was in 2022 where I had the press pass, and I was, like now when I go in, I kind of like, okay, where's the buffet? But I was just like, I was trying to take the whole thing in this first time. And I remember watching Tristan Casas take batting practice, and he's just mashing it, just hitting these like 500-foot bombs. And, like other people are taking batting practice, so they're hitting it pretty well, but not like that. And then this other guy comes up and he's hitting them just as far as Cassis, but maybe even faster. And it's this little like 5'8" guy. He has like his raw power is I think people underestimate it. Like he's strong.
Yeah, his BP is something to watch. If he's in there letting it loose, it's going over that diner and right Sherwood Diner, is that what it's called? It's going over.
Oh yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. He hits balls a long way.
All right, so my baseball question here, and we kind of touched on it earlier. And there was a stretch this past. So we were kind of also just talking about underrated guys, and I think you're selling yourself short because every time you took the mound at the beginning of the season, you were being put into safe situations. You were being in all the high leverage places. I think probably over the first 2 months of the year. I even remember going to your locker and I made a comment about something when there may have been an injury or two in the bullpen in Boston. And I'm just kind of like, I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if Shug's not here today because he's, getting a call. So is there anything from that stretch where, you were being put in the game late in the game and you had that really good stretch? Is there something that you could take from that to, I guess, apply for next year and to put yourself back in that situation?
Just the mentality I had when I was taking the mound during that time is what I need to be able to hone in on and wrap it around, because I had an FU mentality. I mean, I'm not going to cuss on our podcast, but I had
you can do whatever.
Who knows if we use it against you later?
Yeah, I had the FU mentality going into the ninth inning, the 8th inning, 7th inning, whichever inning it was, in a 1-run, 2-run, if not tied game. And I was also, when I had that mentality, I was also executing pitches. I was slowing the game down. I was minimizing damage. If, like, say, I'd walk the lead off, I was like, all right, he ain't scored yet. Let's get this next guy and get a ground ball. I was able to, control what I can control, and it worked out for me. And then I got so far away from that the rest of the season. Like, I would have spurts of when I'm like, all right, I felt like I did the first 2 months. Like, I need to do that. And I would have 2 or 3 outings, and then, it would hit the fan the next one. I'm like, what? Something's just not clicking with me. And so being able to hone in on that mentality I carried the first 2 months is something that I need to be able to do every time I go out there.
All right, Ed, I got one more baseball question, but if you want to go first, because I can end it on mine.
I can give him the trivia question for the last one because I came up with. There's another thing I meant to ask earlier, and that is, you came through the system with some really good relief pitchers around you. Like I remember last year it was you and Caleb Ort and AJ Politi and Franklin Germán, like this 2022 when I say last year. Mm-hmm. And then last season there were, you ended up getting to pitch with Ryan Fernandez and Luis Guerrero when he came up at the end of the year. If you could take a single pitch from any of those guys and add it to your own arsenal, what pitch would it be? Like whose pitch and what pitch?
Ooh, I would probably take Guerrero's splitter.
I've heard you're the third person I think who said that. Like, I've heard it's almost knuckleball like there's no spin on it or something.
I think he's throwing it at like 750 spin. And I tried throwing a splitter this year, and I would sit around like 1,000 to 1,100 spin. And his is just 750 and it's doing this, and then it's just gone. Like it's nasty when it's right, and I would definitely take that pitch. Or second best would be Fernandez's cutter at 95.
Yeah, that's going to be.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
What do you think your teammates would pitch? What do you think from you they'd want to take?
I would say my sweeper. I would say my sweeper because that, I mean, numbers wise, that's the best one that I've got. But I would say that.
I was going to say, watching when Ryan Fernandez came up, I remember Caleb Hamilton, good old Caleb, love that guy.
Yeah.
He was just like, I think somebody was asking him something about like what it's like catching all the new guys that had come up, and it was right after Fernandez had got there, and he was just like, dude, like he throws hard, like it's
Yeah.
when he's on, like it was impressive. And that cutter was a put away pitch, man.
It's disgusting. It's filthy. And he's been doing that everywhere he's gone. Like I remember in 21 in Greenville when he come up, he was a long relief guy, and he would do that for 3 innings, and like it was another day at the office. All right, whatever, just nonchalant. I'm like, all right, this guy's got it.
Yeah. Well, I have one more, and I'll pass it that after because you've given us 45 minutes of your time here, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
So my last one here, are you a goals guy at all? Like, do you set goals? Like, I guess going into the off season and the season next season.
Yeah, my goals this year were more on the strength and conditioning side. Like, because my arsenal is my arsenal. I can't change what I could get in the weight room and like maybe start throwing a mile or two harder, like nothing crazy. So my goal was to be in the best shape possible going into spring training and put myself in the best position to maintain what I do well and not have any injury flare-ups like I did this last year.
And then I have 2 just one-off statements I got to say before I pass it to Ed. One, if you are looking in spring training for a golf partner, you should take a fellow pitcher in the system, Nathan Landry. I've heard he is the worst golfer probably in the system. So definitely pick him.
Boost my confidence up a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was. Whenever we were talking about it, I was like, "Holy cow!" Like you need to, because Hayden Mullins, I guess, is just beating up on him, and I'm just like, poor guy, man. Landry's just like a Canadian. He can't even golf right now. It's snowing up there.
Yeah.
And then number 2, how are the knives that Mr. Theo Dinlinger sent you?
We got mine right here.
Well, let's say it.
This thing is legit. It's just like the one that he made for Nell. I was talking to him.
Badass.
He got called up whenever he got called up, and we asked questions as like a group right before stretch. The first day somebody new shows up, it's like, hey, what's your government name? You know, and he da. But I'm like, what's your hobbies? He's like, oh, I'm a blacksmith. I'm like, you're a what? He's like, yeah, I make knives, swords, axes, you know. I'm like, you make like swords, like Game of Thrones swords? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. And then like I think a month went by, and I was like, you make like skinning knives for like hunting, like or somebody say they kill a deer, like he's like, yeah, all the time. I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna need probably 4 of those. I'm gonna get a gift for some of my buddies, and you know, and I couldn't be any more pleased. And it's awesome.
I'll make sure I tag the Dinlinger Forge page and put a little screenshot like I did for Nail the other day because he was a happy customer.
Collab. Yeah.
All right, Ed, you're up.
So I'm gonna test something out here. I want to start asking players a trivia question about the team that they grew up on. So for you, that's the Astros.
Right.
So here's what I want to know. Ready?
Let's do it.
Did he freeze right before he said that?
Yeah, he did.
Which of
Ed, we can't hear you, man. Now that was funny. I was just
Sounds like a robot.
Is he waiting? I thought he was like waiting on you to like be like, all right, I'm ready. I'm right here, man.
Yeah.
You can't even make that up, man. That's good.
Yeah. He's still frozen.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. It's low budget here. We get by, right?
No, it's fine. Maybe
I don't know if he's.
Ask me.
I don't know if he's coming back. Like,
it looks like he fell asleep on the screenshot. It looks like he fell asleep on that screenshot.
Sorry. That's a very did I it just look like I fell asleep or something?
No, dude, you were lights out. Like you were done. All right, ask your question now.
Yeah, okay, so my question is, which of the Killer Bees won Rookie of the Year? Craig Biggio, Jeff Bagwell, or Lance Berkman?
I'm sticking with Biggio. I liked him out of the most.
Biggio, 7-time All-Star, 5-time Silver Slugger, 4-time Gold Glove winner, Hall of Famer, never won Rookie of the Year. It was Jeff Bagwell in 1991.
That was my second guess.
So we knew it wasn't Berkman because Berkman not as good as the other two.
Yeah, I thought I was for sure it was Biggio with his career and his stats and all his accolades.
I absolutely love the hell out of Berkman, though. Ed, that was too good, by the way. You did fall asleep, and that was about perfect. But...
I just fell asleep mid-question. I just bored myself to sleep.
You got narcolepsy.
Right. You got anything else, Ed, from the trivia point?
No, nothing from the trivia point. I thought about doing like a whole test, but that would have just been too much.
I'm not a good test taker, I promise.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. I think I went around and it was when the Immaculate Grid thing was like popping off this summer, and we asked Chad Tracy, we were like, hey, who's the best in the locker room? I don't remember who asked, but he was like, why don't you guys just go ask the players yourself? So we did, and I remember Steven Scott said that same exact thing, and he's just like, dude, I don't even know anything about baseball, I just play it type thing. And it was like, it's like, dude, you are a psychopath, but I love it.
Yeah. Scott, he's a lumberjack. He looks like a lumberjack.
Man, Steven Scott, man, that's a good guy. We're going to have him on in a future episode, and it's going to be either electric or it's going to be like he's going to hate us, but I don't know.
I'm hoping to get Big Joe on.
You'll have a good time.
Joe Davis
you
get
a guest appearance with Joe Davis.
Just before he retired, he had agreed to come on when I was still doing Pesky Report, and then I think something happened with his dog, and he just kind of didn't really want to do interviews, and then he ended up retiring. So I'm planning on reaching out to him at some point and just kind of like, hey, how are you doing? Like, how are you? If you would be up for it, would you want to come on? But like, give him his time.
I feel like Joe's the type to get on and talk baseball.
All right, future guest, man. I like it. But Shug, we 51 minutes of your time, man. I appreciate it as always. I definitely looking forward to seeing you next year. Should be down in Fort Myers as well. So definitely looking forward to seeing you in Worcester as well. So thank you for coming on.
Perfect. No problem. Thanks for having me. I want it on record that Politi is the worst ping pong player in the locker room.
Oh, shit. I didn't even get into that.
Who is the best then?
Shugart or Fitzy. Oh. Caleb Hamilton's a sleeper too.
Hold on a second. Do you remember the quote before we hop off of here? Do you remember that quote that we got from Cole Cottom about AJ Politi?
Which quote? That he's a freaking psycho when it comes to ping pong.
I forgot what he said. I had it written. I mean, I have so many notes written down from all these that I have no idea. But Cole Cottom pretty much said that like if you like get in front of one of his shots and mess him up, that like AJ Politi probably has you on a list somewhere like Billy Madison.
He's also a mental midget on the ping pong table. His world crumbles. It's bad for Politi when people get in his way.
What about Christian Koss on the table though?
It's not for a lack of trying. I'll tell you that. I think he dove. You know where the couches are on the backside of the locker room. He dove, hit the ball, landed on the table, and slid into the couch, like knocking everything over. Hit the table, came up, somebody slammed it. He hit, then on the other side table, dove again. He's like, oh, all right, let's do it again. And he's like, he lost on that, but he's all over. I've never seen somebody with more energy than that guy.
Somebody was also telling us that Bobby Dahlbeck was like very underrated on the ping pong.
And had his own paddles that he brought from home, like he's Forrest Gump.
Yeah, Fitzy and Dahlbeck had their own paddles. Murphy had his own paddle, but Bobby didn't play. Bobby is so locked in throughout the day. He didn't really play that much whenever he was playing. But like his off days, I don't think he got him off the table.
Were you up at all in 2022 at AAA?
I got up in July of 22.
Okay, so you were there for the chess tournament then.
Yes, I came in third.
Okay, so you must be a pretty decent chess player then.
I beat I beat the one who won it in the second round. No, the first round. Dave, the trainer. I beat him, and then it came down to me and him in the semifinals, and he waxed me. So, but I got my
I
one.
didn't even know they did that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, Franchi was into it. I think Connor Wong was pretty good, right?
Darwinson Hernandez is pretty good. There was a
Oh,
it
man,
was
I
a
remember
lot of
Darwinson.
a lot of sleeper chess guys in the locker room that year.
They should have done something like this past year. I guess we didn't really do anything like that.
We played like the first 2 months of the season, and then we all started playing ping pong and something else. Like we kind of just gave it up.
Yeah, you guys. I felt so bad, dude. Like I remember at the beginning of the season, Jake's locker was like right at the foot of the table, and then Fernandez came up. He was like at the foot of the table. It's like two really quiet guys, and I'm just like, you guys are just in the worst spot in the locker room, dude. Just getting balls just whiz by you, dude. Just nuts.
And they always put the major league rehabber guy right there in the corner by the door, and we're not trying to bother them, but they're right behind the ping pong table. Like, sorry, but you're in the worst spot possible.
Yeah, I remember Paxton was there one time, and he had that locker right there. And I can't remember who it was. It may have been Marcus Wilson. Marcus Wilson got down at the table as well.
Yeah.
I think he was going nuts, and Paxton's just over there, got his headphones in, about to make a rehab start. And I'm just like, what is
not
he
a care in the
right
world?
now?
Not a care in the world.
Super nice guy, but I was just like, sometimes I felt like him or Kluber or somebody was like, you guys are just like a bunch of idiots or something. I don't know, but I loved it, man. But Shug, we appreciate the time, man. We're gonna have Politi on soon, and I'll be sure. I'm gonna start off the episode with that quote, so don't worry.
I think we should record it and play it to start it, so you hear it from Shug's mouth.
Okay, yes. I can do that. I'll do that for you for Politi.
You will bamboozle him. His mine will be bottled.
I have it written down, man. We'll do it. But like I said, Thank you for your time, man.
No problem. Thanks, guys.